Hello everybody, I'm glad you could come and see my video. Now this is a new section in my playlists under Dreams. I had an interesting one today I thought I'd share, but I thought I'd share a couple more that I had before, and why I believe that some dreams actually come from God. Usually when these types of dreams show up, it's within a 7-day period. I always look for them within a 7-day period after the dream. So this coming week, today is January 3rd, and the first day actually the snow is sticking, which is the latest I've ever seen it stick. Normally during my lifetime it never waited past Christmas. It always snowed on Christmas Eve. There was a couple of days where a couple of Christmas Eves where you could go out and barbecue in your shorts, you know, considering we're up in the north part. That's pretty good. It wasn't as warm this time through Christmas Eve, but it was not too terrible, you know. It was in the upper 20s, lower 30s area. Yesterday was too, and today it decides to snow. And up here a lot of people are off work until the 5th, so and that's just basically if you're in the automotive industry of any type that is a supplier or otherwise. And but a lot of the other kinds of work, like gas station work, they just worked all the way through. So somebody's got a black truck. And why they're parked there, I don't know. But back to the dreams. I call this type of dream on-stage dreams. If you're on a stage and you're performing, usually it's pertains to something that you have control over, or you should have control over, something that matters to you. And normally is family things, family related, because that's what you care about, that's what you have control over most of the time. So the on-stage dreams come into play. I don't know too many people that have them, but I know I do. So I think they're pretty rare. I haven't heard too many people. Maybe only one person, but it was a bit abstract and hard to read. They remembered the whole thing. Sometimes I don't remember the whole thing. But the first dream that I had that was an onstage dream was when my youngest son was being born. I was married into a really bad relationship. Things that I didn't know with that individual, and they just didn't see the world in a positive manner. It was really a negative for everybody involved, and only because they didn't trust anybody, you know, when they acted on it all the time. So it's kind of hard being a man, and you know, you want somebody, you know, your view of love is to be believed in, then that kind of shows you as a man that you're just not going to get what you want. And the relationship isn't going to work out. So for all the women out there, it's not about being stupid. It's about being happy. And happiness is a state of mind, more or less. And it's not because other people make you happy. It's because you're doing something to make yourself happy. And that brings out happiness to everybody around you. So she was thinking, my ex-wife was thinking that our child was going to be a girl, and I already knew it was going to be a boy. It's just the way it sits in if it sits back in the hips or it sits out front, and I'm talking through the pregnancy, not at the end of the pregnancy. And what they crave, as far as what their body needs, I don't think cravings are good, because it just shows that you're lacking something in your diet. Whereas if you're eating really good food, then you're not craving so much, and you tend to keep the weight off. So it's really important through a pregnancy not to be munching on everything, but to actually cook something that has a really nice nutritional value to it, and you eat as much as you need, and during the meals. You will keep the weight off. I was married twice, and both of my ex-wives, which doesn't make me sound like a good person, but I always have strived to be a good person. But, their self-interests were not mine. They just didn't know how to be happy, and I don't think I knew how to explain it to them then. But you can't change somebody unless they want to be happy. So anyway, back to the dreams. I keep getting sidetracked, but these are little tidbits that kind of lead up to the whole thing, and the reason that onstage dreams happen. It's not quite like a basket dream, but basket dreams can be in them. It just depends on the world around you and what's going on. But one night I laid down and I went to sleep, and got a good dream. Had this incredible onstage dream, and it started out with her and I standing on the stage, and we were in a game show, and there was a game show host, and in the dream the game show host looks at me and says, the question was irrelevant, it was blurred, marred, but it didn't matter. It just mattered that he asked the question. And I just looked at him and said, I don't know. And in that game show host voice of his, he's like, and you lose. So he went to her and he asked her the question, and she just automatically knew the answer to it. And she spouted off this and that, thing, and she really didn't know what she was talking about. She just talking to talk, and believing she was right. But that goes into her real outlook on life, is that she was right. Always. No questions asked. And, you can believe in somebody, but then they get that big head on their shoulders, and it doesn't do them any good. And I always was the same. I always tried to be polite about it and stuff, but it didn't work out that way. So the game show host in this game show host voice looks at her and goes, "And you lose." And she started throwing a fit, jumping up and down, swearing at everybody and cussing and just carrying on like it was going to change something, which is usually what she did to get what she wanted anyway. Not just from me, but from her family and her friends, and she just had this uncanny ability to make things that weren't real look like they were real. To everybody else, and she used it to her advantage. And the game show host looked back at me and said, and his game show host voice goes, "And you win." And the backstage opened up, and there was a set of bleachers, and sitting on the set of bleachers was a lady. So I walked over there and to see what I had won, and she was holding the basket, and in the basket was a little man with whiskers smoking a cigar, and that was the end of the dream. And I had woke up, and my ex-wife was awake for some reason, which was really kind of odd. And she's like, "What are you doing awake?" Like, she had control, and I explained it to her, and she had the same attitude after I told her, and it was her persona that was portrayed in the dream. And but 2 or 3 months later, when my son was born, if she could have got up off that table after having a C-section, I think I would have been like in for it, because she really didn't believe in that kind of thing. It wasn't like a practical thing. She was always her emotional roller coaster was hitting the angry mark. I guess that would be the twister and the roller coaster at Cedar Point. But and I had to scratch my head over that one. It really kind of, because if you look at the basket dream, there's a basket dream in the Bible, I think, with Joseph when he got thrown in prison from the Pharaoh. And in the basket, it was the opposite, where if the guy's head was in the basket, he was receiving the head, it wasn't being taken away from him. And where the guy with the flowers in the basket he was going to lose his head. So I took it that the dream meant, because it was the opposite of a man is a boy, so that's how I looked at it. And when I told her that, she really got upset. So it was just a bad place to be. I didn't know that she was going to act like that, but her parents did. Her parents knew and never said anything to me about it, that she took things to a roller coaster extreme. So I really didn't care for the marriage at all. And I thought it was best to get out of it. Too bad for her, but the worst that things can get, you can get some pretty good rewards out of some of that stuff. The second dream I had, let's see, on stage, was after I had gotten a divorce and everything, and got the kids, which was years later, and not because I really did anything too much about it. I just did it legally and because of the circumstances of everything that was going on at the time. But I didn't do it to hurt her or anything like that. She was doing it to herself. And because I wouldn't do that to anybody like that. I would really have tried to work it out if that could have happened. I gave it everything. And so many years later, we're in a new place and I'm with the kids. And I have an onstage dream where we go into, I get the full view of the auditorium that we're in. It's like an auditorium, it's like a theater, and it has a stage, and there's people up on the stage doing stage things, and they're being called up one at a time. And I remember my sister was in it, and she told me that she asked me if I wanted to go up on the stage and do this song for her. But she never wrote the words down on the paper, but she handed me the paper. And I went up on stage and I'm like, well, I don't know how to sing the song because nobody taught me how to sing the song. So I'm just going to read it. So I just read it out loud, and then that was the end of the dream. And within 7 days, my sister had come over, but there was one door on the house that went to the driveway, and there's one door on the house, because I lived on a corner, that went to the street, the front street, the address street. So I always went out the door that went to the driveway and out that street. But she had left a note on the door that something had happened to my mom, and I never saw it because everybody was going in and out the other door. And finally I get a phone call saying that my mom was in the hospital. So I went through the motions, went up to the hospital, found out she wasn't in the hospital, and our daughter had gone home, and I was like, oh boy. That wasn't good. And went over to see her, and she was doing all right. So because she has not heart problems, but vein problems, I guess. Things happen. And new processes or stents put in there, open things up. So that was that on stage dream. But the note was really there, the paper, without the words. And so singing is actually knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it. Where it was the message that didn't come through. But the blurry spot in the first onstage dream, where you couldn't hear the question, was pretty much irrelevant. But this time I had an onstage dream today or last night. But the first part of it that kind of brings it to the onstage wasn't there. It was just on stage. And I'm on stage with some other guys, and we're taking turns singing, which is kind of funny, you know, in a way, because you know, I'm not like that, but it's kind of funny. I dream that stuff. I'm like that in my own head, so that's how it comes out. But there has to be something else there in order for these things to conjoin and synergize together. You know, I couldn't just dream thinking I'm psychic and dream a dream, and it actually, the dream is pertaining to my life and how it's going to turn out. Say how things are going to turn out. But, you know, I don't know how many guys were on the stage, but, you know, we were on stage performing, and performing is something that is actually taking place in your life because you're performing. You're performing because how you want other people to see you. So you're just being yourself, doing what everybody else is doing out there, trying to make a living, trying to raise your family, trying to do this and trying to do that, and then you get an onstage dream that kind of ties it in together. But you couldn't really have dreams like that if there wasn't really a God there helping you out. And I think there's a passage in the Bible that talks about who has dreams. I'm not sure. I thought I came across it at one time, but you never know. My imagination can be playing tricks on me. But the next 7 days, I'll be looking for whatever that is that's taking place. Something I'm supposed to be doing and something I'm supposed to be sharing is actually going to take place. I'm going to know probably about it. The details of that part are going to be irrelevant because the question's always a blur. This is not so much about the question, it's more about attitude. Your specific personality and attitude you have towards life. That comes out. So it's who you are, what you believe in, and things like that. And I happen to believe in God. I'm really sincere about it. I never get to share it with anybody. I think this YouTube channel just goes to show, I think, how many people out there think like I do. Plus, the videos are kind of hard, so I've chalked it up to about half the people don't want to watch videos because of the length and the boringness of it. But today you get to watch windshield wipers going back and forth and snow on the ground. So if you're like across the country or something where it's not snow, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I thought I'd share that with you, and you have a good day. I'll see you next time. See you all the way around.